And I'm not at all concerned about them running the ball more because essentially they didn't really bring anybody in who I think is going to command touches in between the tackles. So,
Abby.
What?
I like 5 minutes.
That was 5 minutes.
I was like, I can't even say Chris, go on.
Do it again.
That's why, like, I looked up. Like,
Do it again.
I looked up.
I gotta get out of show mode into this. I know. Just give me one of these next time. Give me one of those next time. All right. I also didn't get a thought to like what I was gonna say.
I almost gave him one of them memes. I'm like, what was that meme from the basketball player who played for the Lakers?
Like, what we gonna do?
My bad. Really, was that long? Oh,
it was long.
You know,
all right, I cut it down.
you felt like you were gonna stop.
Yeah.
You're like, no, but
one more thing.
We want to do it over again?
Yeah, do it over.
I mean, it got to be a minute, so we got to figure out a way to get all this.
Yeah,
I mean, it was good info.
No,
I
it just that was under a minute. It's just that we got to get Dyer in there.
Right, and then you still have to. Cause we have to say, what do we say? Why did we pick another player? Right?
Why did we? I mean, like,
yeah, we got to go.
Consider.
We don't have to do all of that. That's okay. Example. We just need to say.
They thinking they boxes, ain't no way to box this. I just do my own thing, that's the trending topic. Vacating the tropics, sunbeam off my bicep. She calling me chocolate, that's the trending topic. Trick it if you got it, cause you can't take it out here. Take that whole deposit, liquor out the faucet.
Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champion AB. Alongside him is my guy, Dio the Machine. Guys, I want to talk about this special draft that we're in at FFWC. We're in this draft, and we have to choose, we chose to choose a running back next, right? Mm-hmm. And so...
Potentially. We'll see.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But Connor potentially is still on the board. Mm-hmm. We got Montgomery still on the board.
Yep.
Zeke and Cam Akers.
Yep.
How do you guys differentiate those four running backs, and who do you think that we should go with?
Yeah. Shout out to Muzio. He's got something special coming out. We won't get into the details until it's officially dropped, but feel very fortunate to be a part of it. So that's a tough question, really. I think, when you bring up those four running back, I think I would probably place Connor in a separate tier, but it's not that far off from those guys. Mm-hmm. They all have their warts and their negatives and concerns. Mm-hmm. So to me, Connor, I think, is in a good offense. Okay, we've seen what he was capable of last year. Got dinged up, but still put out some very, very good fantasy production. He's someone who can play a role or who offers upside at the goal line as well as in the receiving game, and I think that's something we love from all of our running backs. The biggest issue with him is health, and I think if there was not much of an issue with health, or if he was just a younger player at the exact same skill level, he'd likely be going in the second round. Okay, so maybe you're getting a little bit of discount on it. Maybe it's a bit of a risky play, but to me, that's the main issue with Connor. The other guys, it's I think each of them have their own issues. For Zeke, it's the capped upside, given that he's a little bit older, but I think he has a very nice, stable floor. So he's not necessarily someone I like to target in the third round or maybe in the early fourth. I usually like to shoot for upside more there. For Akers, it's what everybody is concerned about. Is he 2020 Akers or is he 2021 Akers? Mm-hmm. Because even 2020 Akers was not this explosive guy. But at least with 2020 Akers, you're getting a back in a above average offensive system. And then lastly, Montgomery, I think he's probably my least favorite out of the two. It's not a great offense. It's not a great offensive line. He's a largely volume back, but to me the biggest thing is you have a new regime, a new GM, new head coach, new offensive coordinator. So he's promised nothing. And he's not a back that's like, providing a lot when it comes to skill and talent. He does a lot of things good, but there potentially could be a split there. And then obviously, injury history and whatnot. So long-winded answer, these are backs that I have probably been avoiding in most drafts, whether consciously or subconsciously.
All right, Dale?
Out of those four, so before I even get into that, you just kind of struck a little nerve when you just mentioned Montgomery and having that competition, because it made me realize that you're kind of correct. They brought in They brought in a few little pieces in that backfield. They already had Khalil Herbert, who took over for Montgomery last year when he got hurt, and actually did pretty well. Definitely respectable stats. He was a weekly starter. Maybe even gave you top 12 production one week. I don't remember for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. So he's obviously still there. But they also brought in our guy from last year, our little secret weapon that we kind of tried to keep hit close to the vest and did not work out. Did not work out whatsoever. Darrington Evans, who I want to say was a third-round pick for the Titans, or third, fourth, or maybe even fifth. I don't know.
That one preseason game, man, he looked good.
Yeah, I mean, he has a good skill set,
Yeah.
a respectable skill set.
And they brought him in.
He lacks size.
Yeah.
And again, last year he was injured for pretty much the whole season. Every time, it kept seeming like he would come back, and I mean, he maybe even came back one game and got hurt again.
But you know what he can do? Catch passes.
And he's a receiver. Like, he actually
So we
practiced
don't know if
time.
Montgomery's getting that full role.
Right. And then on top of that, they have a dude from Baylor who they drafted late, 6th or maybe 7th round. I think 6th round, Tristan Ebner.
Yep.
He was in the backfield with Abram Smith at Baylor. Did very well, can catch the ball, one of those human joystick type players. You just have these guys behind him that all they got to do is get a crack at the opportunity.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be surprised they took the job.
Yeah.
I don't think they've paid David Montgomery yet either. I don't know if he's got a new contract.
I don't think so. I don't think, and he's likely not going to get a contract.
Right, right. So you kind of see the writing on the wall there. But anyways, going back to my answer, I actually would prefer Akers with our pick. Okay, so as far as the 4 running backs, just in a vacuum, I like Connor the best.
Yeah.
I feel like Connor has showed us the type of ceiling he can have. He's somebody that's in a pretty good situation.
Yeah.
So I can't argue that at all. But again, this is a best ball,
Yeah.
So in a best ball type draft, I try to shoot for as much upside as possible. And when I look at Akers, he can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He's playing with a team that I've seen put up crazy stats for running backs in the past as far as that offense. He's just a player where it's like, out of all of them, I think he might have the highest upside.
Yeah.
He had that freak Achilles injury last year.
Yeah.
But he also came back before anybody else has ever came back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he was productive or looked great, but he was out there.
Yeah.
He might even scored a touchdown, I think. You know what I'm saying? So he came back. Now we're however long away we are since then. He's obviously healthier. Not sure if he has all of it back, but just, again, in a best ball in a draft this early, I think he's the type of player where it's like, if we saw he was healthy, I think his ADP would rise.
Yeah. I think the other issue with Akers, too, is we don't fully know what that role is. I mean, I think...
You mean as far as...
if we're we're extrapolating or going based off of last year, the late season run or the playoff run, then he's close to a workhorse back.
Yeah.
They trusted him, gave him a ton of touches. He saw a far majority of plays like a workhorse back would typically see.
Yeah.
He's obviously getting the goal line work as well.
Yeah.
And, unlike the Chicago situation, they didn't really bring anybody else in.
Bingo.
They drafted a late round.
Kyron Williams. He
rookie.
wasn't late. He was 4th round.
Oh, he's 4th round.
Kyron
Okay.
Williams from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I guess.
But he's hurt already.
Yeah, he's hurt. Exactly.
He's hurt already,
So he's already missing. He's likely probably gonna miss training camp, I want to assume. So there's a lack of competitions there. Their O-line does worry me a little bit. Okay?
Yes, it does. But here's the thing with that, and it's crazy. But Cam Akers, one of the things that was one of the pros as far as when he was coming out of college was he had to deal with a horrible offensive line in Florida State.
Yep.
It's almost like you can say he has to some extent experience dealing with that. You know, and again, the cool thing with Akers is he's utilizing all facets of the game. You know, he can catch the ball. If the offensive line isn't creating holes, okay, they can use him in the passing game. Going back to Connor, one thing that slightly worries me, and I know it shouldn't because I'm usually not the type of guy to pay attention to this, but I just keep hearing all this buzz of Eno Benjamin.
Yeah.
And not just buzz.
No.
The fact that they're saying he looks like a starting running back.
Yeah.
Whoever says that about their backup, they just say, somebody, he's doing well in the role. If we need him, we know he can come through for us.
To connect there too, because one of the issues I think that was brought up is his pass protection.
Mm-hmm. And they said he's improved in that quite a bit.
And especially as a smaller back, you typically you want to kind of be like the Edmonds guy. And not to say that like, pass protection, is something that like you absolutely need. I don't know how good in pass pro Chase Edmonds was, but you at least want to be competent.
Right,
you at least want to have the, confidence in your, head coach, especially when you have, a 44, $100 million plus quarterback back there, or 200.
I mean, he ain't there yet.
Well,
he ain't there yet.
We'll
see if he gets there.
I mean, I think he'll get there, but so for me, like I definitely, am hearing that, I'm less on Darrell Williams at this stage. Daryl, the one with the Cardinals.
Yeah. The one with the 1L.
I understand and I fully appreciate what he did last year with the Chiefs.
Right.
But I'm not necessarily convinced that he is this, high priced backup that we really want to look at targeting late in drafts.
Right.
So when it comes to like, scooping up those handcuffs, I'm waiting until one of those guys, Darrell or Eno gets, drafted, and I'll just take the second one.
Right. And I mean, first of all, you can look at Darrell's contract. He had a 1-year deal. It wasn't that lucrative,
Yeah.
It's not even a guarantee he makes the team.
Yeah.
And I think people don't really take that into consideration when they make these picks. There's certain guys that, they're a known name, but that doesn't guarantee their spot on the roster.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not having a lot of guaranteed money with them. If they don't have any guaranteed money, you can almost bet that they probably won't make the roster. But another thing, too, is with Darrell is, I've kind of taken a slight liking to Keontae Ingram, former UT, former USC running back. I know he wasn't drafted high. I want to say 5th round, but I kind of like his skill set a little bit. I don't know. He seems like the type of running back, or he's probably not somebody that's going to come in day one and take the job, but he's also the type of running back where if they give him an opportunity, like if injuries occur, they might utilize him, and he could probably produce. So
kind of like a jack of all trades, like a low level jack of all trades.
So as far as
if you had to rank them, if you had to rank those 4 running backs, how would you rank them?
Well, just ranking them, definitely Connor's number 1 for me.
Okay.
Definitely Connor number 1. Number 2 actually is Zeke.
I agree. Okay,
good.
Yeah, because the
I didn't want to sound too crazy like I be sounding.
The thing with Zeke is even with Pollard, he still gets targets in the receiving game, and he's getting the far majority of goal line work as well.
And number 1, he's not leaving the team. That contract, he's like locked in with them, and it's almost like he might have something to prove this year. The team and him. So
and before he likely tore his PCL, he was like a top 5 back in the league.
I won't say top 5, but he was.
No, I'm saying he was like points per game. He was a top 5 back.
I mean, maybe.
No. He was
in the multiverse.
He was. And then the last thing I'll say about Cam Akers is, we can't discount Darrell Henderson's involvement. We don't know what it is. What they were doing in the playoffs. Is that what they plan on doing throughout the year? Let's go back to, one last one. Let's go back to what we kept talking about last year. It's a 17-game season.
It's a
and
marathon.
Remember we talked about, like, this idea of just kind of having these, like, running backs that are going to be able to, like, take, like, it was going to, like, we were going to see less and less of those, and that's what we saw play out last
backs,
year.
you mean?
Yeah. So I think this is a situation with a guy coming off an Achilles, them with Super Bowl aspirations. They're not going to want to give him all the work anyway.
I agree. But with that being said, Darrell Henderson also has had a lot of injury concerns in the past. And to your point, I think what the Rams are kind of doing, which is what the 49ers have admitted doing, is they're just taking running backs to deal with the inevitable injury rash that the team is probably going to have at that position. The 49ers said they took Tyrion, whatever his name with the high
Price.
They took him.
Don't forget his name though.
Yeah, they took him because they know that they've dealt with injuries in the past, and he's probably going to be a good depth piece for them. And you see the Rams took Kyron Williams, like we said earlier.
You know what the Rams do too? The Rams, you can never, like, at any point in the season, they could easily trade for a running back. Any running back.
So the only alternative view I have with it is, we've seen in the past the Rams have used a workhorse running back with that offense, like a true one guy, jack of all trade, high value touches type scenario. And we kind of saw it a little bit in the playoffs of 2020. So not last year's playoffs, but the year before that, when Akers really kind of showed out. Who's to say last year wasn't due to the fact that, he was just coming back from injury and they wanted to kind of take it slow? They like him. They drafted him in the second round a year after drafting Darrell Henderson in the third.
So we end up on the clock. It looks like we're going Akers.
No, I mean, I don't have a problem with Connor.
Okay.
We're not on the clock yet. It might be a situation where our decision's made for us, you know. but personally with best ball, I like Akers.
Okay.
But I don't knock Connor at all.
Yeah. All right. Let's stay on running backs for a second because I want to talk about the Chiefs' backfield. CEH is going really late. I don't understand why, considering that Ronald Jones is the backup, and I think Ronald Jones sucks. I get the McKinnon fear. They re-signed him. Let's talk about the Chiefs' backfield. Why is CEH going so late for a starting running back on an offense that's that high power?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would disagree with you. I feel like he's not going late enough.
Oh, wow.
From a standpoint of like, I was hoping that not hoping, but I was anticipating that the McKinnon signing would drop his ADP.
I knew it wouldn't.
Yeah, and it really hasn't touched it. And to me, I don't understand that from a standpoint of like what McKinnon did for them in the playoffs last year. I understand McKinnon's 30. I understand he has an injury history.
So you feel like people should have taken that as more of a threat to CH's role?
I was hoping people would take that as a threat because clearly I don't feel.
You were hoping people would be wrong.
Yeah, CEH. So this, and we probably need to have a discussion about this, and we need to like classify. There are different types of draft picks. Mm-hmm. There are players you take because they are like rock solid.
Philosophical.
There are players that you take, that 1%er, like the guy we've been floating around in group chats.
Yeah.
And then there are players you take because like you're in a tournament and you're looking for that one guy who could really, pay off, first, second round value, but you're taking them 6-7 rounds later. So I kind of look at CEH as that player. There are a lot of different things in place that you could like tell yourself, narrative that you can create to where he can succeed, Baseline, up front, we were never CEH fans from a skill standpoint.
I was a CEH fan.
Okay, I was not a CEH fan.
We've kind of flipped our views, but I'll let you keep going.
So I was never a CEH fan kind of coming out, so I've kind of always been off of him. So I'm already kind of working at that level. But I do feel like last year there were times where he looked like he was running a little bit better in between the tackles.
Yeah.
So we're coming into our third year. Darrell Williams is gone. Third year, likely, I'm hoping that we see some improvement in him being able to take down or take over that third down work, okay?
Yeah.
And for them to trust him. Whether or not he gets goal line carries, that I'm not quite sure, but we don't need him to get all the goal line carries,
right?
Okay? And historically, when I watch the Chiefs games, Andy Reid, I don't think is the type to just put this big back in and run like 12 personnel at the goal line or kind of have a setup where he's just kind of running in between the tackles, running up the gut. He normally has a versatile back that's in the backfield, someone who can run routes out of the backfield so that the defense has to think kind of like the way they use Aaron Jones in Green Bay. So I don't see Ronald Jones basically as a lock to necessarily take the far majority of the goal line carries. Will he get some? Probably, but I don't see it as like him being the goal line back. I don't think Andy Reid has that because I don't think that's been his MO over the past years. And you look at other players that have played in the Andy Reid system under other running backs. Mm-hmm. We say it year in and year out. Whoever is the Chiefs starting running back produces. Mm-hmm. And when CEH was healthy, he actually had some very good RB1 weeks. They were kind of sporadic at times, but he had some go back and look at the game longs. He had games where he was over 100 yards and a touchdown. He had some games where he had multiple catches. Okay, and then when CEH got hurt, Darrell Williams took over that role, and he was a very valuable back. Mm-hmm. So CEH is really one of the few running backs in that backfield who's coming in, who's been in the system for 3 years. He's been working out with Patrick Mahomes in the offseason, which is always something that I love to hear. We're not hearing a lot of chatter and a lot of buzz, but this is, this kind of goes to our whole MO, which is, stay ready, because this is a quiet time. So think about what happens when we get to training camp and all these beat reporters are, starting to say CEH is the lead back. CEH, looks a lot healthier than he did last year. They start talking about how CEH is, if you start kind of hearing positive news, I think his ADP will likely shoot up because I think people are just waiting to hear. And the same thing with that wide receiver, room as well. People are just kind of waiting to hear some positive news or positive drum beats when it comes to one of those players so they can, place a chip on that player. He's a tough pick.
I kind of think totally opposite of everything you said regarding the whole backfield situation. Yeah. I don't know why, but I do see Ronald Jones as a legitimate threat to CH's role on the team for several reasons. First reason is everybody saw it. CH's rookie season, first game of the year, Thursday Night Football against the Texans. He scored like all these touchdowns. Had a coming out party. But we also saw that season that he struggled to punch the ball in the goal line several times. Mm-hmm. It actually became a knock of his. And we're now 3 years down the line or 2 years down the line, and he still hasn't proven to us he can be a true, consistent or dependable goal line running back. Now, I'm not saying he can't do it. He just hasn't proven it. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being the case, they then go out and add Ronald Jones. They didn't give him a crazy contract 1 year. I think he has
like 300 something guaranteed or 500.
Yeah, $1.5 million contract. So it wasn't nothing special.
No significant resources.
But the few things about it, it was one of the very early signings in the offseason, which tells me to some extent he was a priority for the team. They actually sought him out. I've heard small little buzz from the team that they actually have a role envisioned for him. And just from a talent standpoint, I know a lot of people probably don't like Ronald Jones, especially because he's not much of anything in the passing game. But I do feel like Ronald Jones is an underrated pure runner in the NFL.
I agree with that.
He actually can run the ball very well. He's had fumbling issues, I think, here and there. And again, he can't pass. He can't catch passes well at all. Stone hands, basically. I don't even know if he's that good in the pass protection game.
He's not. And that's my issue
So he has all
Jones.
these knocks.
Yeah.
He definitely has all these knocks.
Football IQ.
But if they have a specific role and vision for him, and again, the Chiefs are the type of offense where, like you were saying, when you have that number one running back role, you can produce. Maybe they continue to act that way where they have one main running back, or maybe they say, you know what, this year let's actually use multiple running backs. Let's bring McKinnon back in because he showed that he can be productive for us last year in the playoffs. Let's draft Isaiah Pacheco from Rutgers, who I don't know if y'all seen him as far as practice tape, but that dude looks like Tyreek Hill. Like, he actually has Tyreek Hill's jersey, number 10. Yeah. And he's returning punts and everything. Yeah. But, a short, stocky, super fast running back. Mm-hmm. They brought him in the 7th round. They added 2 undrafted free agents who, Jarian Ely, who was he was at Ole Miss with our boy Snoop Conner. Yeah. He actually was the lead running back there. Snoop Conner got drafted. He did it. They added somebody else, Tyree, another one of those hyphenated named Davis or Fleet or something like that. But they bring all these running backs in. Of course, they're not all going to make the team. But maybe it's a situation where they say, you know what, maybe CEH can't really hold that load down. Again, he got hurt last year. Yeah.
So the same argument that you're making is like actually one reason why I'm starting to become more enamored or warming up to the idea of drafting CEH again. When the draft season started in May, it was lock button 6th round, 7th round CEH. Mm-hmm. It was an easy pick for me to make because there was no McKinnon. Yeah. And I already baked in Rojo having a role. Okay. His role to me is in between the tackles.
So you say if Rojo didn't have a role, you would take him much higher?
Oh, yeah.
How high?
No. I'm saying that, like, to me, Rojo's role is almost insignificant because to me, Rojo's role is mostly in between the tackles. Those aren't really value touches to me.
So let me ask you this:
it's a guy who gets 5 to 10 carries.
Do you consider whatsoever that he could probably have a bigger role than that?
No.
Okay, so you don't even think that's a consideration?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that I'm concerned about potentially is him around the goal line. But again, I don't think that Andy Reid is going to change his offense around the goal line because he signed Rojo. I think they have a special goal line package. Okay. And that he's going to play, he's going to create plays for his best playmakers. Got you. Will there occasionally be, they're at the half-yard line and, and they bring in Rojo? Yeah, still going to be those, but it's a 17-game season.
Well,
we don't need CEH to have 80% of the touches or 80% of the snaps. I got you. Don't need he can be a running back one. Yeah. Without with having 50 to 60% of the snaps, 50 to 60% of the touches, if he's getting the high value touches.
So for me, I think where his ADP is taking into consideration that Rojo's going to have a substantial role.
Exactly.
I think if Rojo was not in play, I think CH would be going much higher, and I would actually consider taking him much higher. Full disclosure, I have drafted CH in a fair amount of leagues. Not so much lately.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have enough shares now.
Yeah.
Kind of diversifying a little bit.
Yeah.
He's kind of like you said when the McKinnon news came out, we thought he was going to do something to it.
Yeah.
He's still in the same spot. Yeah. Miles Sanders news actually changed his ADP. Yeah. CH is still in that kind of same area. But I do think that McKinnon signing was a concern.
That concerns me way more.
Yeah, I do think it's a concern.
Way more.
I do believe Rojo is going to have a role. I've actually drafted a fair amount of Rojo because Rojo is going so late. Rojo's going extremely late. And just for the off chance that, he does have a substantial role, you're getting somebody in the Chiefs backfield that, extreme value who could have those, money touches by the goal line.
The one knock that I would have against that is, again, I think we have to conceptualize what is the Chiefs' offense? What is an Andy Reid offense?
Right.
Because when Darrell Williams went down and when CEH was hurt, the Rojo comp I think would have been Gore at that time. Gore didn't take the touches. They gave it to a 30-year-old.
There was one game where Gore had a pretty good game though.
But he
killed it. It was like an island game, right?
But when it counted the most, and when McKinnon was healthy. In the playoffs, McKinnon was the back that was in there.
Yeah, he definitely lost favor.
30-year-old scat back. So to me, that tells me, the type of back that is valued more in that offense.
I mean, I hear you.
If you're up 15, 20 points, and you just want to run the clock out, come on.
I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with it, but I don't think we can just ignore the fact that they sought out Ronald Jones.
They had to get somebody, and they signed him to like the
They
minimum.
didn't have to get anybody.
They did have to get
Darrell
somebody.
Williams was still out there. McKinnon was still out there. Again, Ronald Jones.
And that's one thing. The fact that they did not re-sign Darrell Williams, to me, was like, okay, we have confidence in CEH taking that next step.
But
if they would have got a guy who could play on third down,
the fact that they signed him so early, like they didn't need him. They didn't really need Ronald Jones.
I feel like they did. To me, they did.
No. What I'm saying is they didn't specifically need Ronald Jones. They needed a running back, right?
But they signed him at the minimum.
But what I'm saying is they got him so early, they could have signed any running back anytime. They could have brought back who they know. They know.
Who could they have signed?
Darrell Williams.
But what I'm saying is Darrell Williams is not the same type of back as Rojo. So the fact that they did not sign Darrell Williams, to me, again, this by no means.
But even if it wasn't,
that's more in favor of them.
Even if it wasn't Darrell Williams, any other running back,
But that's what I'm saying. Who was out there for them to sign? And when they signed him at a minimum contract.
But if you're saying that his role is going to be minimal, they could have really signed anybody.
I don't want to use the term minimum. I want to be specific in what I'm saying his role is. To me, his role is carries, not catches, and not necessarily stealing the goal line. Is how I'm viewing it.
Okay, I mean it's a concern for me, but and to be honest, with you,
I want him to take 5 to 10 carries.
Even as a concern right now, I think CH is going so late where I'm still like,
whatever. I'm in a main event right now, and I was, something happens when you're in a main event. Yeah. It's very, very different than drafting in a football, guys. Like the mindset, Did
you take CH?
So I passed on him in the 6th, and I was given strong consideration for these very reasons, understanding that he could completely flop, but he is that type of player.
But you were considering taking him in the 6th?
Wide range. I considered it because I'm looking at players. I'm looking at players in the 6th.
You passed on him.
I passed on him.
But he came back in the 7th.
He came back in the 7th.
Don't that feel good? Don't that feel good?
Oh, man, that feels amazing.
Who should I take? And as you watch the draft, it's just slowly coming back to you.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel you on that. But, I don't know. Yeah. I'm the type of person, I take all possibilities into consideration.
As you should.
I always like to, and people say I'm crazy. Y'all say I'm crazy, but I always like to look at the option that nobody's considering. The option where they're like, there's no way that can happen. And I'm like, there's no way that can happen? Let me go take a closer look at that, and let me try to figure it out because it's just those edges because you can end up being at that 1% while everybody else on the other side. So.
Right.
No, it's facts.
All right, so I never like to start the show with a topic that I think everybody's covering. So now we can talk about Baker, but I don't want to talk about Baker to Carolina. I want to talk about the other quarterbacks that are still out there. other quarterback
singular
that is still out there. Let's talk about Jimmy G for a second.
Yeah.
How does this affect Jimmy G now that Baker has found a home or potentially
Screws
found
him
a home?
over.
Oh man, it's major. So I mean, it's major. So I think I'm not even concerned necessarily about Jimmy G. What I'm concerned about is those Seattle wide receivers, the Seattle wide receivers and the Seattle running backs, just that entire offense and tight ends as well.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in Geno. I'm not a believer in Locke. I've really been underweight with DK. I think I clicked the button once, maybe twice in the 5th round, and I just never felt good about it. I own 0 shares of Lockett, have not been touching Noah Fant, and the only reason that I get Rashad Penny is because he goes so cheap, or he goes so late and very cheap. So now that you've removed Baker,
What about Kenneth Walker?
Say what?
The rookie running back.
I don't like where he's going. I don't like the fact that he goes.
Have you drafted him at all?
I have not drafted him once. Yeah, I've not drafted him once. He could, by the end of the year, by year's end, he could potentially. But a guy like taking a guy in the 6th round, hoping that like by year's end.
So you don't think he's gonna come out the gates being the guy?
No.
You feel like he's gonna have to take that
I'll
job?
put money on that.
Okay.
So, and the reason that I'm, talking about the Seattle players.
How much
is
money you
because
want to put on it?
However much you want.
Okay.
The reason that I'm, talking about the Seattle players is because obviously they're in the same division as the 49ers. So an interdivisional trade, especially when it comes to a quarterback, is something that like, I don't want to say is like impossible, but it's something that's like very unlikely. So I'm almost kind of excluding that from the situation, which means they got to roll with either Geno or Locke. And to me, that makes sense for them.
Yeah.
It makes sense to look towards next year's draft to get that QB rather than like take on a contract or sign Jimmy G. So now that leaves us with what's going to happen in San Francisco. And man, so like, look, I think the likely scenario, honestly what likely scenario is that they just part ways. They cut Jimmy G and they just part ways. I think that's what's likely going to happen.
It's not even a bad cap hit either.
No,
it's not the same
all.
as Baker. Like they can cut him and it'll only be like a $3 to $5 million cap hit.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get something out of him.
Yeah. And so but remember, keeping everything in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
If they do keep him,
then
you got to worry about Garoppolo versus Lance.
See, I
still think it's mostly Lance, but then there's that.
But I don't even think they'll let it get to that point. I don't think they'll even let it practice where they're like.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
I think the worst case scenario is Lance goes in as the guy. Everybody understands he's this guy.
Yeah.
Garoppolo goes in because reluctantly they can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
Get rid of him, so they keep him on the roster. And when they're at practice, Lance. Worst case scenario, Lance just looks horrible, and Garoppolo keeps showing out.
Yeah.
And then you keep those practice reports like, hey, like for the last 6 days, Garoppolo's outplayed
and
Lance.
they're probably putting that out there.
That's why they
definitely
gotta
put that out
That's
there.
why they gotta get Jimmy G out there. I'm telling y'all, man.
Yeah.
Trey
But
Lance
where's he gonna go?
stinks.
He can't go to Seattle. They're not gonna trade.
He can go to Cleveland. So that was going to be my last point. Because once he is cleared to throw,
But okay, so the only pushback to that,
much.
but the only pushback to that is Jimmy has a big contract.
They cut him.
Oh, you're saying if they cut him?
Cut him.
Okay, I got you.
They cut him.
Yeah,
They cut him and then let him
Sure,
part
if they
ways.
cut him, Seattle could sign him.
Seattle could sign him.
Yeah, if they cut him,
Yeah.
all bets are off.
But see, I think they don't want it to come to that point. So I think they eat the contract,
So trade him and just eat the contract?
Or try to figure something out with the contract and then send him.
I don't think
how right they want to do
I don't think they eat the contract because, again, if they cut him, the dead cap is small.
That's true.
So they're not going to just say, we're just going to pay you just because we want to spite Seattle,
And they're probably not all too worried about Jimmy G anyway.
Yeah,
It's like,
come on.
look.
Nobody worried about Jimmy G.
Oh, go ahead.
Like they walk into the locker room, you still here?
Yeah.
We ain't traded you yet? $50.
$50 what?
Kenneth Walker.
That he starts?
Yeah.
out the gate.
Yeah.
Ooh, on the wax.
Yeah.
And it's on the wax, too.
But no, but as far as Jimmy G is concerned, and like I said, he can't go to Seattle in the trade.
Mm-hmm.
Browns are interesting, but the problem is if they trade him, they're going to have to pay him that contract. And the Browns are trying to, first of all, they just ate some of Baker's contract.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to probably pay Deshaun Watson. They're paying Brissett. You're now going to pay another guy. You know, that's just too much money. There might be a surprise team in here where he actually is okay being the backup. Because if you're Jimmy, yeah, you want to be a starter, but you kind of want your money more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you're telling me a team is willing to take me on, still pay me, and I just have to kind of sit as a back, almost like Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Michigan only stayed back up 1 year.
That's a good
And you
concept.
see where he ended up.
He can restructure, renegotiate his contract. To
Yeah,
where
Jimmy,
San
don't
Francisco-
renegotiate. Like, get your money.
What,
Get your money.
What happens if they cut him?
He still gets his
He still
money.
gets money?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're just a dead cap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Maybe they have like a little gentleman's agreement, but that's a hard gentleman's agreement. Like, I'm gonna go where whoever pays me the most.
If I'm Trey Lance, I want him off the team. I'm telling you, man. If he stays,
I'm not-
That- see, here's the
Okay.
problem with that.
All
They
right.
they literally can't.
Yeah,
They
they gave up
gave
too
up
much draft
so
capital.
much draft capital and
Yeah.
mortgaged their future so much that he almost has to work. And if he doesn't work out, they got to just tank. They got to just say, look, if we, because they gave up their first rounder last year, their first rounder this year, and then their next year's first rounder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come
But
on.
you to
now.
think that, I mean, like with that mindset, then he should have started last year. But I don't want to
But
be.
we talked about that
I don't want
last.
to be the dead
okay,
horse, so
yeah,
that
all
would have
right.
been the dead
All
horse.
right.
Let's talk about tight ends.
Oh wait, that barring injury. Okay, as long if there's no injury.
No.
Yeah, no, you
The bet is already on it. Look, we shook.
He gonna try to get a bet in mid-season.
We shook. We shook. Look,
Y'all see what I gotta do with
injury.
Y'all see what I gotta do with
Injuries are part of the risk with Penny, guys. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
injuries are part of the risk. That was part of the bet.
Oh, now I
It's
gotta
on
be
tape,
sweating
yeah.
bullets.
Yeah, can we know?
Third straight, man.
Look, it's gonna be the night before training camp. Rashad Penny is dealing with a hamstring. He's gonna be limited because he has a hamstring injury in both hamstrings.
Oh man. Let's talk about tight ends because we often play in these tight end premium leagues.
That's the best thing to play.
Yeah.
Yahoo. If anybody from Yahoo is listening, make some kind of setting where we can put tight end premiums. Like, come on, like spice it up a little bit. You know, that's the way things are going now. That's the way things are going. Like, come on, like
That man get a sponsorship.
yeah.
Yahoo, come talk to us.
All right. Let's talk about tight ends for a second because, we see tight ends the same way we see every other position. There are tiers. There's this tier one of tight ends. I see that tier one as obviously being Kelsey. I see Mark Andrews.
Stop there. That's tier
I put
one.
Pitts in tier one,
Okay.
and then I stopped there.
Okay.
Are we?
I don't put him there.
Man,
but
don't
that's
put
it.
Pitts into one.
You don't-
Pitts ain't done it yet.
Man, he's a rookie. I like
And
the way
he's not
he
in
looks.
an
Here's the
offense to
thing.
do it. You got to score
I mean,
touchdowns. You got to be score touchdowns.
Kelsey has
in it.
done it. Mark Andrews did it last year.
And they're
Pitts
in good
has not
offenses.
done it.
And they have good quarterbacks.
You can put Pitts in the next tier. You can even put him close to the first
You put
tier.
him in
But you
his
can't
own
just
tier.
put him like that's disrespectful to Kelsey sorry. That's disrespectful to Kelsey and Andrews, man. Straight up. Like you should apologize to
Let's
the
talk about the tier two. I'm not apologizing for it. I'm not apologizing for shit. Let's talk about the tier two, tier three. Who do you guys put into those tiers? Like, let's talk about tier two for a second.
Pitts.
Next.
Yeah. No, it is Pitts. And again, I don't view Pitts the same way that I view Darren Waller or the same way that I view Kittle. I'm going to come up with categories and names, but Pitts is a very different type of draft pick. Pitts is that like ascending player who has all the talents in the world, who's shown us that he can produce, was just lacking some TD equity last year, and could potentially explode. All right.
Why would you?
Sponsors. We're trying to get sponsors.
Nah, go ahead.
So really what we're paying for with Pitts is upside. As opposed to somebody like a Darren Waller or
Right,
Kittle
it's the
who's
upside.
done it.
You're paying for this potential
Yeah.
that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say he doesn't have the talent. He definitely has the talent. But here's the thing: just
Yes,
because
he
you
has
have
the
talent,
talent.
don't mean you're going to have that production. You still have to have the role. You still have to have the offense work in your
And there's
favor.
a lot of question marks. There's
So many.
quarterbacks in offense. This is so. I know you're not a fan of projections, but I encourage everybody like either go
Thank
do
you.
your own projections. I don't do my own projections, so I go look at.
He
other people's
secretly
projections.
likes projections, though. But go ahead.
So I
Projections are irrelevant.
That's a whole nother topic.
They're irrelevant.
Yeah. So I look at like, people who I trust, and I try to get as many, projections to look at as possible. But a good thing to look at is team projections. And it's not like you're looking at just 2022. What you do is you look at 2020, you look at 2021, especially if it's the same coordinator, the same offense, and not much has changed. Because they can kind of give you an idea of, what's going on. And then you can kind of alter things based off of how you feel. So if you you think someone gave too many targets to a David Bell, you can kind of take away from that and maybe give it to someone else. But if ultimately the system is the same, the quarterback is the same, the head coach is the same, and for the last 2 years, they've had 450 pass attempts, then they're going to be around that.
So, okay.
But let me finish.
Yeah.
So when I look at Atlanta, I'm going back and then looking at 2021 because to me, it's not like they got a major quarterback upgrade. Their offense is essentially almost the same. They added in some rookie, wide receivers, but like who knows what they're going to be. And then Pitts is there. So Pitts is coming into his second year, same offensive coordinator, same head coach. So when you look at the projections for that offense from a standpoint of what are they projected to score, yardage-wise, pass-wise, running-wise, like I'm not projecting them to now take this leap from being this like bottom basement offense to this like mid top tier offense,
right?
Which means that like
even with Ridley being gone.
Well, who?
Ridley was gone last year.
Ridley was gone last year. Yeah.
That actually hurts them to some degree. But what I'm saying is like to expect it.
But now they can game plan without Ridley being there. Versus
but Ridley was there. Was gone last year too.
But
but they expected him to be there last year.
Are they going to be? You think they're going to be a good offense?
No.
Okay, so that's where I'm starting. So if they're not going to be a good offense, that means they're not going to score as many points as other teams in the league.
Remember,
so the yardage may stay the same, the receptions may stay the same, but what hurt him so much last year was the lack of touchdowns. So that's why he doesn't belong in that next tier.
Well, okay, so real quick, remember, Ridley left the season early because remember he had to work with those mental issues.
That's right, but like they still but they still expected him to be there. So
I think they said he was leaving the team for a while. We didn't like.
That was like mid-season, wasn't it?
It was during.
I just recall. Season, I don't recall many seasons. I mean, many games where I was depending on hopefully having Ridley. That's what I'm just saying. But you might be right.
I think he's saying like they in the off season they plan. They
in the off season. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. Number one, comparing Matt Ryan to Mariota, would you say that's an upgrade or a downgrade, or is
about
push?
The same. It's a push to me.
You think it's a push?
Yeah.
Okay. They lost Gage, but they brought in the number one ranked, obviously on their board, wide receiver.
Drake London. Yeah.
They brought in Brian Edwards, who's still young. He hasn't really showed much, but he has that talent in there. He's third round pick.
Let's not pretend like 2 years ago, not everybody wasn't on the Brian Edwards.
Right. They brought in Alden Tate. Like they brought in weapons. They brought in a new rookie running back. There's more guys that the ball can be in their hands.
And I know you hate them, but they still got Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, no, I don't hate Cordell.
I didn't say you hate,
Yeah. I don't like him as much this season.
Dislike his ADP.
Yeah. I don't know if I dislike his ADP. I just don't like him in general. Yeah, his ADP is not bad. I just don't like his.
He's in the 10th round,
potential role.
no, 11th round of a main event.
Yeah, he's still going real low. I mean, if you want him, it's not hard to get him.
Yeah.
Just I don't really
certain
care
type of player. He's like to me, he's like that fill-in player, especially like early in the year. Like, okay, you taking some chances. Maybe you drafted a Godwin. Maybe you drafted, I
don't know why you're drafting Godwin, but
but what I'm saying.
Yeah. No. So as far as Pitts, again, and I'm not saying we all know the talent is there.
Yeah.
We just can't guarantee he's going to have that role. And for where you're taking him, you're literally taking him over guys that we've seen produce. Yeah. Produce. I'm not on a super high level, but still respectable production. If Pitts gave you the exact same production this year as he did last year, you're not going to be drafting where you're drafting now. You're not going to want to have drafting where you're drafting right now.
Even if he scores 4 or 5 more TDs, which is asking a lot.
That's actually pretty good. 4 or 5 more TDs?
But I'm saying, like, if you look at the numbers and where he's going now in the mid-second round, you're not going to be happy with that production.
Yeah, he's drafted, again, like a Tier 2 guy.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have anybody else in the Tier 2? Or do you have anybody else in your Tier 2?
No. But, I mean, he goes in the mid-second. He's not going that far after Mark Andrews is what I'm saying.
Right. I agree. I have him as my Tier 2 tight end. But the problem is because of everything I just said, I'm not getting him. Yeah. So because there's other guys I like better than him.
It's like even if we may have him in a separate tier, his tier is so close to that tier 3 that it's not like I see very little advantage for me reaching for Pitts.
Like you said, he's being drafted now at his ceiling.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything Pitts can do this season that will make you draft him higher next year unless Kelsey retires or Andrews has a down year.
Yeah.
If Andrews produces like he did last year, and if Kelsey's still doing his thing, Pitts is still going to end up being the third tight end taken next year.
Who's in your tier 3 then?
That's a good question. I like Kittle this year.
Okay.
I do like Kittle. Question marks there, of course, but I like him. I don't really have an order, but I like Hawkinson. Just to throw names out there, I like Hawkinson. Okay. I like Goddard. I don't like Schultz as much.
Well, these are all in the same tier?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You got Waller in this tier as well?
Oh, yeah, Waller. Waller's number 1.
Okay.
Okay. To be honest with you, I might put Waller as his own tier 3 as well.
Ahead of Pitts or below Pitts?
No, tier 3. So
Tier 3,
after
so he's
Pitts.
putting-
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Kels, Andrews,
Yeah.
and then Pitts,
I honestly,
and
like,
then Waller.
for me, I think I'd probably, in a vacuum,
You're going
I'd
to say
probably-
Kittle
I'd-
over Waller, ain't you?
no, I'd probably take
Okay.
Waller over Pitts. And I'd
Really?
probably take
I
Kittle
would-
over Pitts,
I
too.
wouldn't be mad at it.
And the reason that I would do that is because I think we're
Wait,
down.
you say Kittle over Pitts?
I would take Kittle over Pitts. Let me tell you why. Let me
I
tell
don't
you
know if
why.
I do that.
Let me tell you why. New situation. We've seen him do it. Okay, we've seen him do it.
Kittle, you mean?
Yeah, Kittle. We've seen him do it. Shanahan is very creative and innovative, and he's always throwing something new out there because I think he understands that you need to stay ahead of the game.
Stay
so
ready.
Stay ready. We need to change our screen post to just a picture of Shanahan. Hashtag stay ready. No, so Debo's role, that wide back role, is something we really never has seen. Mm-hmm. But clearly, they went into this season having that as part of the game plan, and they executed it perfectly. It didn't start game one. Mm-hmm. He started off as just your traditional wide receiver game one. And then that's something they transitioned to. Now, I don't know if that's something that they had in the playbooks or something that he devised later on out of necessity. But the fact that he was able to do that to me was very encouraging. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why you see Kittle have these spike weeks and then you see some weeks where he's not there because he's using Kittle for something that he does very well, which is block.
Yeah.
So we could easily see a scenario, one, where this year, because now teams have tape on what they did last year, because maybe Debo doesn't want to necessarily run the ball as much, we could see Kittle take over more. Okay? Because when you're if you had to depend on Kittle versus Ayuk, I'm taking Kittle.
Of course.
So so as a head coach and as an offensive mind, who would I scheme more targets to?
Right.
Kittle. So he could easily go into this season, and this is a kicker right here. This is the X factor. We don't know necessarily who Trey Lance is going to favor and
that's
why.
That's actually what I was literally just about to say. I was just about to say
if
that.
he favors Kittle, it's game over.
Yeah, I agree.
It's game over. And I feel more comfortable saying Kittle will score more touchdowns.
Yeah.
So really all it comes down to is receptions and yards.
Yeah.
And then health. And that's the biggest thing with Kittle too, is him staying healthy. So that's why I would take Kittle over Pitts. And Waller to me is a huge question mark. I can see the upside. To me, he has that wide range, and so I think that's why I kind of maybe favor Pitts.
I think if Waller didn't get hurt last year, if we just eliminate last season, I think people will still be real high on Waller. Mm-hmm. And I guess they kind of still are because he is the fourth tight end being drafted. He's taken in the third round, so people haven't totally forgot about it. I'm not there with Kittle yet. I like Kittle. Yeah. I do like Kittle, but I think I would still take Pitts over him just because, like you mentioned, when the 49ers decide Kittle is going to be a blocker, they'll let him block. Yeah. And he'll happily block. He's not even going to ask for the ball. Yeah. So you're going to have these games where Kittle's just not going to give you anything. Yeah. And to him, he's happy with it. Yeah. He's not on his Tyreek Hill saying, hey, where's my target? Yeah. He's like, yes, we won.
And he's getting paid.
I did my thing. Exactly, and he's getting paid. So it's just one of those situations where I feel like the Falcons do want to use Pitts as much as possible, while the 49ers are like, we'll use Kittle if we need him, and we'll happily use him, but if we don't need to use Kittle, we won't use him. So,
and in tight end premium, I like getting him in the fourth round because I feel like that's after. I want to have some shares. Yeah. Because he could literally put up 40-point weeks, and you don't know when those are going to occur.
Agree.
So I want to have some shares. So that fourth round to me, but we didn't really even get into what we were supposed to get into, that next tier, and I think that's the most important.
After what?
Yeah. After Kittle and Waddle.
Okay.
Where do you have those guys?
Who are
you taking? Sorry, Kittle and Waller.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the Schultz.
So I like
Ertz.
I like Goddard. I like Hawkinson. If I was to rank that tier, I would have Schultz after both of those guys actually, and they're not being drafted like that. Schultz is definitely being taken first amongst those guys. Yeah. And I kind of want to hear your thoughts on Schultz. How do you like him?
I agree. I think and it's something that Theo, shout out, OG, shout out. DOG, shout out, Go District. Yeah, it's something that he's brought up quite a bit. He's been, I think, someone who's
poster child almost.
Yeah, it's for the lack of upside. And it's something I kind of gave additional thought, and I was like, yeah, he really does lack upsides. He's safe and he's nice. He's a nice option to have. He can definitely get you 15 to 20 points, but he really does lack that upside. And TJ, Hawkinson was someone remember last year, I was just completely off.
Right. I was high on him and you were like, nah.
Yeah. And he didn't end up panning out. But when I go back and really assess the situation, I feel like I was wrong.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Save that clip.
Point for Dale.
Save that clip. No, I really do feel like I was wrong. I mean, go back and you look at his targets. You look at when he was healthy. Yeah, I think he started off hot, and that's when everybody was kind of taking the victory laps. And then he just kind of like, and there was some games where like they really like just took him out. Yeah. But that's part of being a young tight end. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think they were against defenses that like had really good linebacker play.
And they like planned to take him out of the game.
Exactly. But guess what? Now we have a second year Amon-Ra St. Brown. Mm-hmm. We have DJ Chark, who I think a lot of people are down on.
Sleep on him, man. Yeah. They sleep on Chark.
And I'm not. I almost like. I don't even. Let me not even bring Jameson Williams into the situation. He's coming off a late ACL, so I don't even consider him. In this. But then you also have DeAndre Swift. You have an excellent offensive line, and I think people still sleep on Jared Goff. Yeah. Because behind a good O-line, I think Jared Goff can be a very, very competent quarterback. Right. So to me, like, their head coach.
Josh Reynolds too, by the way. Don't forget him.
Josh Reynolds.
He's still there.
Their head coach was a tight end. Their offensive coordinator was the tight ends coach. He may be calling the plays right now as well. He started calling the plays at the back end of last season, and like everything that I've heard is that him, like he worked very closely with Jared Goff as far as kind of sitting down and like going over.
Or the coach?
The offensive coordinator. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
And he worked very close with Jared Goff to find out, okay, what's working for you? What do you like? And that's kind of when you start to also see St. Brown start to kind of come out of his own. You start to see that offense take off a little bit. And everything that you hear them, say about Hawkinson, they talk about him like he's such a critical part of the offense. Yeah. And that he's someone who can still improve. And that's what you like to hear as
he's still young, man.
Very young.
Like 25 maybe?
Yeah. And I've been waiting to like figure out where I want to take him. And I feel like finally, now with the Baker news, with some of the signings we've had from the wide receiver, I feel like I finally have my wide receiver rankings in place of where I want, and now I know exactly where I want to take them. So I'm going to definitely, Hawkinson is a guy that I'm going to be going after, trying to increase my shares of.
Okay. He's somebody. But again, what do you feel about Schultz?
Schultz goes in the fourth round.
He's going in the late.
And it's who he's going over.
He's not going the fourth. He's going like early fifth. He's really going like 412, 501. Yeah. That's where he's going.
That's too high. That's too high for me. And I think people who draft there are probably looking at ADP boards and probably, not necessarily happy with what potentially comes back to them at tight end. So they're feeling like they're having to reach. But I think they're reaching for the wrong tight end. Yeah. Like I have no issues taking Hawkinson there. But to me, there's a certain.
At 501?
I'm not taking him there, but I'm saying I have no issues with people taking him there. I think it depends on what wide receivers are on the board.
Okay.
There's certain wide receivers now that I'm fine passing on, and there's certain wide receivers that like I'm not taking any tight end before I get these wide receivers in my squad.
So it sounds like, because we've talked about several tight ends and every single one of them, it sounds like you've been passing up. So are you then subscribing to the late tight end this season so far in your drafts?
Not late tight end, but I like that seventh round. I like the seventh round for like
seventh round.
The seventh round.
Do you want to say which tight end you've been targeting, or you want to hold that?
Oh yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I think that it's based on ADP. Ertz and Goddard. Yeah, typically Goddard goes before Ertz, so the decision is made for me.
So one of the two.
One of the two.
If both of them are up, who would you take?
Depends on the team build.
Okay. Let me ask you this: if both of them are gone, what would you do?
I wait.
You wait?
I wait.
So for like a later tight end?
I wait. I wait.
Okay, so
I wait till like the 10th round and I end up getting someone like that.
Okay, so my question then is, who is those late tight ends you've been looking at? Like those late tight ends?
Yeah, so it's Komet.
Okay. A lot of buzz with Komet. Yeah. A lot of people like him. I'm not sure why though.
Because I think people think that he's going to be.
Is it his contract year?
Yeah, like it's a make or break. It's a make or break year.
I don't think it's a make or break year, but like he's someone.
I don't think it's his contract year either.
To me, I thought he put out very good film last year. He was very similar to a Pitts. In a sense that he got like a lot of receptions, but really didn't see a lot of touchdowns.
Okay.
But we have a new head coach. We have a new offensive coordinator coming in. I expect to see a lot more RPO, a lot more play action pass. And really, there's nobody else on that team that I think could provide anything significant from an offensive standpoint from the tight end position. So I see him on the field all the time.
I got you.
And so he's already got, he's got some rapport with Fields. He's not the most athletic tight end. He's not someone who's like gonna has this like crazy spark score. Yeah. But he's good enough. He can catch the ball up the seam. He has reliable hands. He's a big target. So given all those targets, that's where I start off when it comes to like looking for that late round tight end.
Yeah.
Is it someone who can get a lot of targets, and is it someone who could potentially be the second or third option in that room? And they lack really any other significant receiving options. There's some guys who could potentially come up, but no guys who are proven, no guys who necessarily command targets from day one.
Okay. Any other tight ends?
Njoku.
Njoku?
Yeah,
we talked about him once, though, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't get those guys, what are you doing?
I mean, like, how many?
You want to give me 10?
I want to know how late you're willing to go because
I'm willing to go late. I'm willing to go late, like because
who's the latest guy? Okay,
fail safe is Evan Ingram. Like,
okay, I like Evan Ingram.
And this
is
the thing. Actually. This is the thing. Again, this is why it kind of comes down to like your roster construction and the draft that you're in. If I'm killing it at every spot, I have no issues being weak at tight end because guess what? The majority of the league is going to be weak at tight end. Mm-hmm. You know, majority of the week from week in and week out is going to be hoping.
And then it becomes a race to get the guy.
Exactly. And guess what? Available. Because I've devoted so few resources to getting tight end, I'm going to be more aggressive when it comes to catching that.
Tight, you know? And people usually aren't too aggressive because
no.
Yeah. So for me, and the reason I was asking this question because I want to see how deep you're willing to go because for me there's some deep tight ends I'm willing to go. Again, I like Goddard.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I love Kels. You know, if I'm in a situation to take Kels, I have no problem with taking Kels. He's proven it. You know, he might not have the greatest ceiling, but he has that strong floor where you know that no matter what, I'm not going to have to worry about my tight end.
Yeah.
You know, not so much on Andrews now because I feel like he's going a little higher than what I would like. We talked about Pitts. Talk about the other guys. I like Goddard. I feel like Goddard's undervalued. I feel like he's going a little bit later than he should be going. But if for some reason all my tight end options are just, you know, going off the board, I like Evan Ingram, but I'm starting to see Evan Ingram kind of come up a little bit too, which kind of is unfortunate because he was like the perfect late round tight end to get. Situations perfect. He has no real competition except for Dan Arnold. Coach, you know, tends to utilize tight ends. You know he has a talent profile, former first-round pick. Yeah. You know, whatever.
I coupled him with Gronk in every draft that I took.
So it worked
Gronk
out for you a little bit.
It really did.
And Gronk still might come back. I mean, I don't even have a problem with people taking Gronk real late. Yeah. You know, just because. I mean, you're easy to drop him. But as far as those late tight ends, let me not say I still, but one guy I think we're just totally ignoring is Mo Alley Cox. I know it just sounds crazy, but...
It does.
but Jack Doyle had been with that team for several years. Yeah. Not very talented, but he was getting a lot of, you know, burn. Yeah. Like they were using him a lot. Yeah. You know, nothing to be excited about, but they were using him. He was still splitted with Mo Alley Cox. Yeah. Now Jack Doyle's gone. Mo Alley Cox is now the starting tight end. They still got Kylan Granson. I think they might have drafted a rookie. They did draft a rookie. I forget his name, Isaiah something or maybe. But still, the guy that's going to be at the start of the line in practice drills now is Mo Alley. You know, and Mo Alley can be taken at the very end of the draft with no issues. Matt Ryan uses his tight ends. Don't forget how he made Austin Hooper look. Matt Ryan helped Austin.
Forget about Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, bingo.
Like 2 decades ago.
I mean, Matt Ryan, but still, just the fact that he has a rapport using his tight end, he does. You know, and Mo Alley Cox is such a big target. He's like 6'5", 6'7".
Could easily see him scoring 8 to 10 TDs.
You know, I mean, Matt Ryan doesn't have the biggest arm anymore, so he's not going super deep as much. Mo Alley Cox is right there. We've been hearing some Tyler Conklin buzz lately. Y'all know that's my guy from last year. No, it's been out there.
You love Tyler.
I do love Tyler. I love Tyler. I'm gonna get tattooed. I love Tyler Conklin right there.
From day one, the talk out of camp has been that like he is their receiving tight end.
Yeah, I mean,
and they really like him. That's been from day one.
He's somebody that literally.
I think I heard that first from like Kaplan. On Sirius XM. Yeah, from day one he was basically touting that the Jets really liked Tyler Conklin as their receiving tight end, and Uzuma was going to kind of do it all, but he's more going to be like their in-line tight end. He goes undrafted.
And these leagues, you want the receiving guy, right? So, again, just a guy that you can take.
And that's why I wish you didn't even bring up that name. That's why sometimes, like, I almost, like, don't – like, if I miss out on the guys, I'm like – whatever.
I'll
get Conklin off the waiver, and I'll take more stabs at these like handcuffs because it was so early in the season and injuries occur.
One dude I want people to be a little careful with that I feel like everybody's high on, and people have their reasons. I think you should be careful with Brevin Jordan for the Texans.
Yeah, I'm not.
But he's drafted a lot.
Yeah,
the Dynasty's guy.
I have zero interest.
I think people don't want to take into account that Pharaoh Brown might still be the starting tight end for the Texans.
It's just going to be...
It's nasty, it's ugly, but he's there.
But the thing is like, when have they ever shown us that they like are really? I mean, it could happen. Maybe Pep is like want to incorporate them a little.
I don't
bit
know,
more,
but just Brevin is being drafted. I'm just saying, be careful with it.
Ahead of Conklin, which is what.
Oh yeah, easily ahead.
Yeah.
Another
or
guy,
Mo Cox.
Another guy that's real late that you can get is Hayden Hurst.
Yeah,
and I think I talked about it a little bit before, but he's going on the offense for the Bengals. We saw. You remember those Azuma games last year where he just went crazy. Yeah. That could be Hayden Hurst. So
basically, like they're all the same. Okay, stop drafting Goddard so early. Stop drafting Hockenson so early.
Yeah.
Let us get some late round shares.
And the cool with and the cool thing about these late guys that we're talking about, if they don't work out, you can just throw them back in the water.
Yeah.
Maybe grab somebody else. John Bates for the Commanders. Logan Thomas.
Bates,
Logan Thomas might not be ready when the season starts.
There's a good chance he won't
be ready. The next guy is Bates,
Yeah.
And Bates actually was producing a little bit last year.
Yeah, there was some reports that he's like running in a straight line, but like that's far from being ready. Obviously.
Right. So there's guys out there. Don't just totally ignore it. Don't reach. Please don't reach. Unless you're just doing a one-off and you want your guy. Mm-hmm. But there's value to be had, and there's a lot of times where tight ends by week 3, 4. Somebody that's actually productive is somebody that was on the waiver wire when the season started.
Yeah.
So.
And just remember this, like, we are historically terrible when it comes to, like, figuring out who the tight ends are going to be.
Yeah.
So it's good, like, this is a place where I definitely, like, want to diversify. But then, like, late, if I get these guys, like, late, that's where I want to, like, be overweight in the field, on those type of targets. But the guys that kind of go early in the mid rounds, I don't feel as aggressive or as a strong need to, like, go after these guys.
Right.
All right, guys. We are over time right now. That's the show for this week.
All right. So real quick, just want to make one comment. Because I put a tweet out, I don't know if it was this week or last week, but it's something I've noticed in draft boards was the fact that every team's backup running back situation, I'm not saying it was accounted for, but people were drafting, backups on every team as far as in the running back room, except for one team. I didn't see anybody drafting any Steelers backups. Not one. Not Anthony McFarland. Not Benny Snell. But the guy that really is the guy I'm wanting to kind of prop up a little bit is the rookie Mateo Durant. He's a undrafted free agent, so it's not somebody that's guaranteed a roster spot, but he's been getting a little bit of buzz. He has a pretty good skill set, very fast guy. He kind of has this, I don't know, his gait is like almost like a Todd Gurley a little bit. He's not too wiggly, but he kind of gets what's there, and he's not a guy that you're going to catch. And again, he's a guy that's getting buzz, is possibly taking that running back 2 job, so he's a guy I feel like you could probably target late in your drafts. And if something happens with Najee, Najee is in a high risk position as far as playing running back. Durant might be a league winner, even if it's for a few weeks, even if it's on some Dearness Johnson type stuff. So just somebody to put out there.
I like picks like those for like best ball too. When you're in like these large field tournaments, where ROI just seems like ridiculously like just like you asking yourself, why am I even in this tournament? Like drafting guys like that just go largely undrafted because you just never know, you never know. So like,
by the way, man, we spoke on Beatty last week, Tyler Beatty. Can y'all please stop drafting him? Because that's our guy.
He went in the 13th round of the main that I'm currently in. The 13th round.
Bro, like, it was all good just a week ago, and now it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. No, but stay ready, though.
This is why I don't mind putting out takes, because I was completely against Tyler Beatty.
Yeah.
And look what happened to his ADP.
Yeah.
So literally, I just need to throw out everybody that I'm on and watch their ADP fall.
Yeah, it's all right. But, that's all I got,
guys,
though.
That's all we have for this week. Please like, rate, subscribe. We're out.